right, this is Comedy Sex Show. I am Tara Tiara.
I'm Lola Bastinato.
Which means I guess I'm Tim Moss.
Yes. Oh, Jazz here.
Oh my God, have we got topics?
We have so much to talk about.
I know, right?
How about the new definition of woman? Can we talk about that?
Well,
New
that's in the
definition of woman.
dictionary now. It's the
in the
number one
dictionary.
word now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of
No.
all the problems with the no abortion and the gay rights and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
why
so-
women
And
is
the
in there.
LGBT.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the new?
Okay.
There's a
wait.
new definition for woman.
Well, basically, it says it's a person who identifies as female.
Well, I'm a bottom. Does that make me a female? I'm a human cum dump.
Now, what does
I
it
guess
say?
You're
I'm
just
a woman.
slut.
But is there a new definition for male? Does it say, someone
No.
who identifies as male?
That's interesting.
Yeah, good
A
point.
Yeah, this
human
is-
that has a penis, maybe? I don't know. I don't get it.
Well, this is what's starting to
Well, then you got
irritate
lots of
me.
penises all over the house.
So I'm a bunch of guys. I guess that goes with my
Yeah.
multiple personalities. No, seriously, I don't have.
Yeah, I'm all for trans rights, but when you can't even say female anymore or women anymore, you have to say like woman who's menstruating or a person who menstruates
What?
or a person
Really?
who identifies
Yeah.
as. This is
So
getting out of
what?
control, and it's
You're a
gonna-
menstruator.
and it's really going to affect because male and female are scientific biological terms.
Uh-huh.
And all the books throughout history have identified, that's what the definition of the words are.
Uh-huh.
And so if you
Okay.
keep trying to change the definition of these words, when it gets down to the core of the biology, how are we going to say, this cell identifies as a female possibility or XX chromosome is a possible female identity,
Right.
as opposed to just say male and female and moving on? This is going to affect science, and it's already affecting scientists and how they're wording their essays and stuff and
Right.
trying to figure out how to
Right.
teach class, like basic psychology and stuff. They're
Yeah,
trying
it's
to
getting
figure
very
out because
confusing.
there is a difference between males and females.
Right.
There is a difference, and you can't even talk about it now in those terms anymore in psychology because people are like,
Right.
"Well, I identify as a female,"
Uh-huh.
but you still
Mm-hmm.
don't have the same psychology as a female
Right.
Right.
because
physiologically
yeah,
you have
and the
not had that
hormones-
experience.
The hormones
Right.
make you this way.
Well, apparently there's a new definition for male too.
Oh,
okay. So
God.
at
As
least
per
it's even.
CNN, so a spokesperson for the Cambridge Dictionary told CNN that the updates are into effect in October, but woman remains an adult female human being, and a second definition refers to an adult who lives and identifies as a female, though they may have been said to be a different sex at birth. Similarly, the British Reference Guide defines man as an adult male human being and also an adult who lives and identifies as a male, although they might have been a different
Okay,
sex
so
at
they
birth.
added the definition
Okay,
instead
Okay.
I
of taking it
understand
away.
that. I understand.
As long as you
Yeah.
don't take it away, because we need that definition.
Yeah.
When you write
Well,
scientific, I'm not a scientist, but when you write scientifically, you have to use
I
those
did
terms.
a show yesterday with a friend of mine who's an entertainer who's Indian, from India origin, from India, and was telling me yesterday that India has now adopted third gender. Where you have male, female, and like trans or the whole in between.
Okay.
Well, India,
So I think that makes a lot of
well,
sense.
from what I know, I'm not a scholar on India, but from what I know, they've already had trans people identified in their community for centuries, for thousands of
Right.
years.
Right.
That there was already that.
Well,
that
and also
acceptance
the
and that there.
Native American. I can't even think of the term.
I
now.
think they're called indigenous.
Yeah, Navajo, Cherokee,
Yeah.
all of that.
Welcome to the PC
Yeah.
show, guys.
Indigenous people, I think.
Native Americans, yeah, Native Americans, have for centuries, they have male, female, and twin, what they call twin spirit.
Yeah. To me, that makes more sense.
I agree. So just to have the third gender and leave it at that.
To me, that makes more sense because it's kind of like if you say a person who is black and white. Are you going to deny the white part of you? Are you going to deny the black part of you? You're both.
Right.
So why are you trying to deny half of you? To me, it makes more sense. And if you want to be more psychologically accepting of your own self, is to identify both and to say, I am 50-50. I am both of these.
Right. In between.
You know, instead of trying to like knock out one.
Right.
Trying to completely, because you wouldn't say that to a white person trying to completely knock out their black, or a black person trying to completely knock out their white. You would be like, what's wrong with you? You're both. You should love you as you are and accept all of you. But for some reason in the trans community, we're not supposed to say that. We're supposed to say, oh yeah, you know, you go all the way and deny this other part of you.
So do you think that comes from like all the coddling that goes on like with parenting? Like everybody's a winner. Like nobody can be number one. We're all participants. Like
no, I think it started because there was when trans women, men transitioning to women, were first out there and first walking around wearing women's clothes. They were severely beaten up and
I remember
and just
those
horribly.
days.
And so
I had
there
a
was
lot
this
of friends.
movement saying, you know, at least recognize trans women are women. And it started from a whole bunch of violence and a whole bunch of ugly words.
Right.
But now it's gotten more into acceptability. But if they push too far and try to completely change all the definitions, there's going to be too much of a backlash, and they're gonna it's gonna backfire in their face.
I actually don't mind the explanation of them adding the definition. But like I do understand your point of view of having just like a third general for the people that you know maybe identify as differently than they were born. I think that's also an easy way to put it. Like
yeah. Are you a menstruator or a sperm shooter?
Are you a breeder, y'all? Like
because that's how they do heterosexuals. We're breeders.
Because a lot of in my generation, that was the generation where my trans friends would just get beaten severely.
Right.
And the whole community. I mean, if someone sometimes would even die, and the police wouldn't really care.
Right,
they would. I mean, they were just dejected. They were just pushed off to the side. And then this next generation, or this generation that has come on, are the ones that are, well, I'm a woman. Call me a woman. You know, and they're very, very abrasive with that. You know, and I get it, but they don't understand what my generation had to go through for them to have this freedom to push this
and
agenda.
they don't understand the pendulum, because if you go too far in this pendulum, it's going to swing back this way, and that's, you know, basically what happened with some civil rights. There was a whole group of people that was like, oh no, the black people are getting way too much. And then there was this huge backlash. And that's when you had, you know, the South, you know, killing people and throwing people in prison for nothing and creating slave gangs and all that kind of stuff. Because there was this backlash, especially right after the Civil War, when black people started to get their rights. The whites were like, no, you're not. And they had this huge backlash. Now, granted, the black people should have their fucking rights, but you have to you have to take steps.
Society takes time to, unfortunately, to grow and to change and to.
And if you push it too far, people get killed. Is all I'm saying. If you push it too far, people get killed. And you got to push it in order for it to get done. You got to push it, but there's a limit of the pushing. And then it's just going to come back at you. And then you're going to throw your movement back 20 years. And it's going to take another 20 years to get back to the point.
Right. Because I'm very grateful to my trans brothers and sisters for being vocal about it. But there is that fringe area that they keep pushing. Because right now, I'm in the community. I mean, I'm an active member in activism and all of that, and marches and the whole bit. And I have no idea of half the terminology now. They just keep coming up with terms here and there and everywhere, and then they'll get insulted if you get it wrong.
Just say they, them.
Well, I'm really happy for the trans females because they got prostitution to not be arrested all the time and everything, because they kept arresting all the trans, and the trans were like, hey, you're arresting us. What about all these other women? And they were like, oh, okay, we don't want to offend the trans people anymore because they're getting really vocal.
Let's arrest everybody.
And the female prostitutes, you know, the hetero female prostitutes aren't vocal. They'll be just like, give me my fine and let me go away.
Well, again, back in my day, my trans friends, they didn't really have a choice of employment at that time, and so most of them had to resort to sex work to survive. Right. And again, that this has come from that. And now, fortunately, they're much more visible. They're an acquaintance of mine was on Broadway.
That had to be just playing like on your whole psyche. And,
right. On just trying to be true to yourself.
Right.
And that's why, again, the trans in my generation who had to make this transition. I've seen them where they've had to make this transition. They're the ones that paved the way for this generation now.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's like those guys on the bridge that, you know, got smacked in the head and beaten up. What's his name? John somebody? I can't remember names right now. Recently died. He was Tibbetts Bridge, you know, back in the race riots and stuff. When they were marching across the bridge, I think it was in Alabama.
In Selma?
Selma, yeah. And, you know, and those people got the shit beat out of them. And the dogs suck on them. And that's what trans had to do. But now, hopefully, we're past that point.
Right.
So now let's kind of change it a little bit and calm down a little bit.
And again, that pendulum always does swing once everybody gets used to it. Because, again, when I was growing up, I never even heard the words gay or homosexual.
Right, and now
I didn't even know anything about it. I didn't even know there were other people out there that felt and thought the way I did.
Like we'd see Paul Lynn on TV, and we just thought he was just really a feminine man that was really more funny. Yeah,
right.
He was just not as crazy as he's.
What do we think about what's the workout guy?
Richard Simmons.
Simmons.
Yeah, I mean he seemed very gay to me.
No, he was definitely gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody was allowed to like really say gay.
Exactly.
You weren't allowed to be gay.
Right.
And so
that's what I mean. And I didn't but now that word, once it's introduced to society, everybody's, oh my God, no, what, don't change this. I don't adapt well to change. But then now everybody's kind of like, oh, gay, oh, he's gay. I have an uncle that's gay. I have a child that's gay. I've got, it's like gay, no big deal, no big deal. The same thing will happen eventually.
Yeah, the trend.
But it seems like every group always has to go through this shit before it becomes acceptable in society.
Yeah. And let's face it, women are still going through this shit.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's screaming about trans women. Well, women get beaten up on a daily fucking basis also. You know, and women get arrested for prostitution also. And, you know, and and the gay bill has just been signed, but has the abortion bill been signed? No.
Right.
So, you know, this whole, let's all care about trans, okay, fine. But why don't we all really still care about women? Because it's the women that are still getting screwed. And it continues.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, we're always last place. We're always like, okay, we'll finally give you the right to vote. Okay, we'll finally, you know, allow you to do this. We'll finally give you a credit card. You know, we're always.
We'll let you read and write.
Yeah. You finally get to go to college, and then what happens? It's going to lead us into another subject.
Okay.
Women who are finally allowed to go to college now, women are taking over colleges, and men aren't. You know, it used to be all men.
What do you mean as attending?
Yeah, it used to be all men.
And the administrative.
And now the men are not getting into college, and it's mostly all women now. No, students. It's mostly all women now going to college.
I see.
And then the men are getting left behind, and they're trying to figure out what's going on in the male education system.
Because the women want to break free.
Well, they've also discovered, though, how we do our education kind of goes along with how female psychology is that females, we mostly always want to please and do good. You know, that's our main psychology. The vast majority of us, that's what we try to do. And so all the way through age 24, that's what we're doing. And we're doing exactly what we're told to do. You know, and that's why we get to college. Well, men are still told, you know, oh, you can have fun, you can do this, you can do that, you know, think about it, you know, all this kind of stuff.
What does a grade point average really mean? Go ahead, party.
And the way the male brain works, you know, the male brain is thinking about other stuff and not really concentrating on education at first. And then, but by the time he hits 24, that's when he wants to start like really being, you know, the man and owning and controlling and everything like that. And that's when he should like do college or start a trade or something like that
Mhm.
because his brain's a little bit better at around age 24. Because when he's young, he's got too much fucking testosterone just going through his system and he's still trying to grow into his body. And him sitting there thinking about math when there's a girl with tits showing,
Right.
forget about
Yeah,
it.
right.
Forget about it. Whereas the woman
2
can
plus
sit
2
there,
is 2, baby.
Yeah.
2,
And even
2.
if
He
she
can't get past 2.
Yeah, and even if a woman, the little girl sitting there, if she sees, the guy with a heart on or something, she's not going to get horny for him. She's still going to do her math. She'll be like, yeah, gross. Whereas the man will be like, the little boy will be like, ooh, titties.
Yeah.
And so there goes his math lesson.
Yeah, because
You know
boys
that's
all.
the default voice.
Yeah.
That's the default male voice. Okay,
Okay, thanks.
Well, again, boys are. I've said it before. Is they just want to fuck.
Yeah. Well, I've been listening to a lot of male shows, right? And they've started talking about this whole male movement of not masturbating so much because masturbation is actually.
Who are these guys?
I know.
Yeah,
I
right?
like to meet these guys.
These are guys that are like way into working out and growing their muscles and being all this kind of stuff.
They're still whacking
And they're
off.
saying,
Yeah.
no, you still whack off. But they're saying you shouldn't do that so often, and you shouldn't, and you should
What's
try
so
to.
often?
I think
5
like
times
4
a
times.
day.
I was right.
Well, no, once a day. They're like skip a couple days, and let it build
Okay.
up in you.
Once
Uh-huh.
every couple
Because
days.
testosterone.
Oh yeah, then it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also
You plaster
testosterone is a
someone.
motivator. So when you have testosterone,
clean
it
the
helps
windows
you
again.
motivate and helps you go out there. And then you, as you go out there, testosterone motivates you. And then when you
Or feeds into the aggression.
Definitely.
True. Yes.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
have
what
you
gets
seen a
him-
That's where that
frustrated man?
That's where
that's
that
what-
alpha male
yeah.
comes
But that's
in.
what gets him to approach females. And
Mhm.
females are scary. Females, when they reject you, really hurt your feelings. You
Oh
know?
yeah,
You're like, "Oh,
absolutely.
gosh." And so they need that extra testosterone to give them the courage. And then also,
It really is tough.
But see, the dopamine also gives them pleasure. So once they talk to a female and she says yes, now he's got the dopamine pleasure of a female saying yes and talking to a female. Whereas
But
if
then
he's
comes-
at home masturbating all the time, he never gets that dopamine feedback pleasure from a female. He only gets it from his own hand and his own self.
Mhm.
And so he gets more and more into himself
Yeah.
as
I
opposed
see
to
what you
going
mean.
out there.
Right.
With,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The human connection is something different.
Right.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
for a straight man to approach a woman,
Mhm.
I mean, there's a whole game there to begin with.
Right.
The women, girls are taught,
Such a
you know.
peacock parade.
yeah,
You know
a
what I
P
mean?
what?
It's like a peacock parade.
Yeah.
I'm so big and strong.
Yeah, where the bird just constantly turns around and shows
Peacock
you his
party.
feathers.
That's what they
Yeah.
call it, a peacock
But it's
party.
constant. But the men have to approach like girls that,
Mhm.
or boys have to approach girls that are, they're wanting, again, usually ultimately sex.
Mhm.
It's always about sticking my penis in,
Yeah.
and that's always the ultimate goal.
Well, on the Joe Rogan
But
show,
then-
he said it's all about body parts, and that's all they wanted. What do I have
Men
to do
on
Uh-huh.
to
yes,
say and do to this female in order to
Exactly.
get inside of her?
and that's
all
what
they're
I'm talking
thinking
about the game, because once you say you got to approach the girl and you got the chance of
Mhm.
rejection. Oh no, or yes,
Right.
okay, bing, okay, that's first.
Mhm.
Now I got to warm her, whatever I have to do to I'll spend money on you
Mhm.
to take you out and have some fun, and then hopefully I can put my arm around you and maybe get a little
Pay my mortgage.
Or
squeeze.
she'll do like this,
and-
and
yeah.
you get a ting.
Yeah, and then you get to go to the next and to
Mhm.
the next until
Mhm.
hopefully finally you're sticking it in, sticking it in. That's always the ultimate goal.
It is. And that's the difference of psychology between the male and the female.
Yes,
And it has to
exactly.
be addressed
Right.
because we're not all the same.
Right.
We're very much the same. But when
Yeah.
it comes to the extremes, we're hugely in the extremes too.
Mhm,
Mhm.
You know, what makes us different can be, 3%, it can be an extreme.
mhm.
It
Mhm.
creates it creates mankind and civilization, that little 3% of differences that we are.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
and it makes sense too, because if women don't have the psychology that women do, there's going to be a lot of dead babies.
Yeah, could you
Hmm.
imagine
Lot of
women
dead
with
babies.
just a lot of testosterone, just angry all the time?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
me.
And yeah, right?
That could be after the show.
Yeah. And that's why we need our dopamine release, because, if we don't get dopamine release when we look at our child, that child's not going to make it to adulthood.
Yeah, because they say that the highest amount of oxytocin that's ever produced in a woman's body is directly after birth.
Mhm.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
why it's
so you
really
get that
important to go
high.
through the vagina because it's like this other clitoral
I think
stimulation.
they do that because usually they have to do some funny business like an episiotomy or something,
Right.
and you have to be high out your mind to let somebody down there.
Yeah, and a lot of times they
Yeah.
completely numb you up so you're not feeling it anyways.
Yeah.
And that could be why there's a rise in postpartum depression. Because if you don't get that release and you don't get that dopamine from your
interesting.
child, you're like, what is this blob of goo? Because,
Yeah,
you know,
you're
you ever
like-
seen a newborn? They're not that pretty when they first come
They
out.
are not.
They're like little alien children. They're all blue and
jellied.
bloody and jelly and got that white gooky stuff all over them.
Well, hell, if you've been living inside there for 9 months,
I
what,
know,
what
right?
would you look like?
I can just imagine what they smell too.
Oh my god!
Like, how does that all smell? I've never had a baby, so I don't know.
I've never
Does
smelled
it
the
stink or does it smell
placenta.
good?
Well, I
Like-
had water
it smell
birth,
sweet?
so I just got out the tub and I didn't want to.
hope you
I
took
just
the-
called the midwife to clean the shit
I
out.
hope you took the baby.
Here, you deal with it.
I remember, oh my gosh, when she told me, she was like, I was like, okay, I think the baby's coming out. She was like, well, put your hand down there and deliver. I was like, that's what I hired you for. Deliver my own baby? What kind of bullshit is this? I was like, ma'am, we're in Brooklyn. Get down there, do I don't know if you need scuba gear. Just do what you have to do. Get this kid out of me. But I was like almost offended that she was like, deliver your own baby. Like all zen
And
like,
like, do I pull really hard?
yeah,
do I
like
just
what do I do?
gently-
But that
yank
was
it
good.
out?
Yeah.
Or
Does
do I
it do a
just
suction? Pop.
But that would
the
be
only
amazing.
thing she did say was, when it starts to come out, don't come out the water and go back in because they'll drown. I'm like, oh my
Oh
gosh.
my God.
Yeah. I
Oh
was
my
like, that's
God.
a lot of pressure, bitch.
Yeah, right?
Like that's a lot
What
of
if you get
pressure.
that spasm and you just do like that? And boop.
Oh.
Oh man, that'd be terrible. That'd be
All
awful.
right, next subject.
Okay,
Next
okay.
subject.
Okay, next subject.
Okay,
My
we've
vagina
covered-
is just closing as we speak.
Okay, we've covered
right.
childbirth in
I'm
a
curious.
pool.
I can't stand him, but I'm curious. Okay.
Who is that?
Ugh.
Are we talking
He
Elon
that
Musk
should never
or-
be named,
Oh,
but I have to
God.
say, you know,
Oh,
begins
God.
with a T. Personally, when you're, you know, an ex-president or, you know, you're on TV all the time or you're a billionaire, you know, supposedly he's got the cult, right? Are there like these blonde, gorgeous groupies hanging out at Mar-a-Lago? Or have they all just deserted him? Or
Oh,
is
I'm
he
sure
only
they're
allowed-
still
Sure
there.
Or are
They're
they
still
only
there.
like those 45-year-old women that are married to the old-ass Republicans that are still hitting on him?
Right.
And
Them
are these
too.
blondes still Republicans? Or
Oh, yeah, I would say.
like, because you never hear about any of these
Yeah.
groupies. And they're supposed to be like, aren't there anybody that's working at Trump Resort taking pictures and spying and
Right.
or if I knew somebody that had a membership, I'd definitely go in there with a fucking camera and start, you know, trailing them around and seeing if there's like little blonde groupies and you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
but they probably wouldn't let you in because you're not Republican.
Right.
No. All I have to do is just go with some Republican man and act like
And be
that
like,
for a little
"He's
bit.
so smart."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that stupid Russian chick that was like, I like guns.
I know.
I think she was invited to like
NRA.
the
Yeah.
entire Republican
Yeah.
Party. She got up there into the upper
Yeah.
echelons because
Yeah.
I like guns.
Yeah.
That's all I have to do. I'll just strap a little, I like guns. And I got my blonde hair.
Come to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah,
Come
with
on
a
in.
cowboy hat. And they'll let
Actually,
me
you do
in.
have some photos with guns,
I
though.
do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm posing with the fucking gun. I can use that right now.
Rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll let you into Mar-a-Lago, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I'll follow him around and see if there's
Show
any
you
little
some secret
groupies.
documents. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go into the storage closet, see if I can find something. Yeah. Yeah, but like, who's he fucking? That's my question. He's
I
gotta
would
be
say,
fucking
oh,
somebody.
well, in my
and
opinion,
it's not Melania.
I don't
come
want to,
on.
yeah, oh, hell no, she won't touch
Yeah,
him.
she was like, I've been paid enough. I've gone through enough.
Right.
I've earned it.
Yeah.
Just leave me the
She
fuck
probably
alone.
feels humiliated, I would think.
I would think.
Not unless she's a Russian spy, which, you know, she could be. Nobody knows.
In my opinion, that mentality of male,
Mhm.
or what was it? Sperm spewers or something.
Breeders?
Sperm spitters.
Ew,
Um,
ugh.
He thinks that he's all that,
Mhm.
and so
Okay.
he has a certain image, certain type of woman, which is probably usually young, and perky.
Mhm.
And the women that are probably hitting on him are like, you know, with teeth or without,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
Oh,
Because when you see his crowd at those rallies.
And they're not his kind of people, you know.
Yeah, if there is a
So
blonde
I would
chick there that
imagine he
looks pretty
probably.
good, she's next to some rich dude, you know, or something. Now
So
maybe she's being brought there to go back behind stage as a prostitute or something, or as an introduction to him for the guy to get in.
Yeah, I think he does the Stormy Daniels thing fairly regularly. I would imagine. Yeah.
Why is there more people saying that then?
Yeah,
He's, like, probably paid
how is it staying a secret? You never
what
hear
are they?
about it.
And NDAs or something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
NDAs.
Because I imagine they would probably have to sign something before they touch him. Yeah.
She didn't.
Well, that's
Stormy
probably before
Daniels.
he was like president, right? It was before he was president.
Right, and you're supposed to get through the Secret Service.
I have no idea, and I could care less.
Yeah.
I really could care less about
I
what
just
he's doing at
imagine
Mar-a-Lago.
it being very boring. Like,
Well,
sex
according
with
to Tony,
him,
yeah, it is.
Like, he's probably looking at himself the whole time in the mirror.
Right.
Like, fixing his wig.
Grunting and sweating too much.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
That's one time I'm glad I'm gay.
All right, hairy armpits. Men.
Oh, Lord.
So when they wear the tank tops and stuff, do we like the hairy armpits, or we don't like the hairy armpits, or at least trim?
I don't
Like, do we
like
want
them.
it all out, or do we want just that little bit?
I want you to fucking shave it.
Oh,
don't
no.
I like a little bit, but not all out.
I like a man with hair. I like a hairy chest,
Mhm.
but not like hairy shoulders, a hairy back like that much.
Like a bear.
Yeah, I like a masculine man that has the hairy chest and the hairy armpits, and yeah, that works for me.
I don't
oh my
like the
God, now I
hairy-
gotta go masturbate.
I don't
Shit.
like hairy chest because
Thinking about him.
I don't like how it feels in my hands. It makes your hands numb if you have to
I
like
think it
massage
depends
them and
the
stuff.
hair, too.
Yeah, if it's really soft.
Like if it's soft hair.
Yeah, but if it's
Uh-huh.
that really coarse hair, or if it's just too hairy, it numbs your fingertips.
And then it just scrapes on your chest.
Yeah, yeah. And then after sex, you got hairs all over you
Oh,
because they shed all
stop.
over you. Yeah.
Men
I mean,
shed
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God.
You've never noticed
Especially
it?
in a
No,
hot tub.
You've never had hair.
in a hot tub,
Yeah, in like hot tubs, guys always shed.
and there's
You
hair
never
floating
noticed
around.
that?
No.
Maybe I just have like really sweaty men or something, but their hair goes all over me. Ugh.
Ew.
Yeah, that's
We're
why,
like, oh.
that's why I like the bare-chested guys. I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about the hair staying all
Oh,
over
but
me.
those are like pussy boys. They're always constantly shaving themselves. Ugh.
No,
That's so
natural
unnatural.
bare-chested.
Oh, natural
Yeah.
bare-chested. That's hot.
Yeah, I like the natural bare-chested.
But nobody, very few have natural bare-chested.
A lot of
bare
Spanish
chest.
do.
Really?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some Latin. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of Latin dudes that don't have the hair on their chest.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're Asian.
because it can go either
Yeah.
way. There's
Mhm.
some that are
Yeah.
very hairy,
Yeah.
or very
Right,
little hair.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. How about socks on or off during sex?
Off. I don't like socks.
I never paid attention.
But I like wearing high heels.
Okay.
That's hot. That's
Yeah.
very hot.
I actually think it's probably better, especially if you're a prostitute, to have them keep their socks on
Okay.
because a lot of men don't take care of their feet. And I have seen way too many toe fungus, nail fungus.
Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
see, I'm not big into feet or have a
Mhm.
foot fetish or anything like that. So a lot of times, one thing I do is I like ripping the clothes off or tearing the clothes
Yeah,
off.
that's fun.
So the socks I don't really care about. You know, I'm more concerned with the shirt and the pants
See,
and the
Yeah.
underwear.
well, you remember.
God, I gotta go masturbate
Yeah.
again.
Was it that governor, what's his name?
Thinking about all of this.
Spitzer. He was.
Oh,
that was what they
Elliot?
were making fun of him, that he was fucking with his socks on. But I'm like, I appreciate a guy keeping his socks on because also their nails. They don't trim their nails and they're all
Mhm.
sharp and scratchy. And like they're
Yeah, like the
they're
sloth.
Yeah.
their
It's like a nail
toes
going.
are against my legs and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh,
Oh,
ooh,
yeah,
ooh.
that's, yeah. some
Yeah,
guys
I'm
don't
like,
have
keep
it.
your socks on, trim your hairs.
Yeah. Well, I just don't because I like to like nuzzle and cuddle.
Oh,
and
me
I don't want
too.
the hair in my ear.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or on
Like,
your nose. It makes you,
Yeah.
it tickles
I'm
your
going, "Oh,
nose.
I know. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
usually it holds some kind of. I don't do good with musk.